That's not good. Day 4, take 1, Q glitter. This is glitter fabric that I picked up at Dollarama. It's kind of like glittery paper, only it's on fabric. Nice and bendable. The backing is kind of a woven style. It's pretty durable and easy to cut, and we're going to cut it up into strips. You can do this by just using a ruler. I generally use the width of the ruler to define the width of my strip. And then you just cut them out, old school, with a pair of scissors. An easier way to cut your fabric into strips is by using a paper trimmer, which also works well for this type of fabric. Keep cutting until all your fabric is cut into strips. I used the entire roll for this cone tree. To make the point on my fabric strip, I used this little wood square to trace around, but you could just as easily rotate your ruler and use the end of that to draw it. This is the shape that we want to end up with. I measured in 2 inches from the end of the fabric strip, and this is where I'm going to make my cut. Gather up your strips, stack them into a pile. Before cutting out. Now we're ready to start gluing them onto the cone using hot glue, keeping the top corners of the point aligned with the bottom edge of the cone. Continue until you're completed the bottom row. Notice how the fabric is nice and flat against the cone. Apply the hot glue onto each side, leaving the center section open so it's easier to handle. When applying the second row, instead of laying the piece of fabric flat on the cone, I'm pushing the sides in a little bit so that it has a bit of a bow in it. This gives the cone tree a little bit more shape and definition, otherwise it would just be flat gold fabric laying on flat gold fabric and you wouldn't really see the shapes. Continue alternating rows so that each row covers the seam from the previous row. And here is what the first 3 rows look like. Someone remind me to stop using green masking tape. And before you know it, the entire tree is done. Now we just have to deal with the top of the tree. As you can see, the bottom of this tree is not flat. This is a Terra Cotta Pot with a coat of gold Rust-Oleum spray paint on the outside. You can use it right side up and just place the tree on top, or place it upside down, which allows just enough of a lift to keep the pointed tips of the cone elevated. Here's a little info for you so you don't make this mistake that I made. If you're going to use metallic spray paint on a terracotta pot, you should know that it has a tendency to rub off. That's not good. So I'm going to paint another pot using Treasure Gold by Folk Art. This is 3 coats of Treasure Gold. However, I decided it didn't really work that well with the glitter cone, so I changed it. I went back to my Rust-Oleum Gold Metallic, but this time with an undercoat so it didn't rub off. See how much prettier that is? Right side up with the tree. And you can also switch the pot and flip it upside down. I've added a bottom into my tree to hold it higher up.